Jon McAllister, ready to rumble in the Champions League for another season. It was interesting to hear him speak earlier on. Just talking to him, he's not got a great record on the Monday nights, actually, which is sort of partly true. He's one of a very exclusive club who actually has won a Monday night event. He won the Players' Cup a couple of seasons ago alongside Connor Tracy. Jon seems to find these initial groups more difficult to win, whether it pairs or singles, however it comes. There's the first glimpse of the Jon McAllister break, and it is not quite the successful start to the season he would have been looking for. So Rikki Jones gets first poke at these.
For me, it's only a matter of time for Jon on the big Monday night shows. Just simply, his level's so high and so consistent. You don't see him dip very low. You know, he's obviously capable of, you know, extremely high level of pool, but he never really dips too bad. He is going to have to watch on here. This is pretty good a first opportunity for Rikki. See, top right's your big problem, but it looks like, you know, two reds together, it looks like the sort of bottom one of the two will flick off the yellow and go in, which opens up the pocket for the one on the inside. So for me, you play on that one here, you should be able to get fairly straight in here, and then you've got control. It's just, where does the yellow go? Because there's a chance it comes off the top cushion and still gets in the way of the red. It really doesn't look like the red goes. I mean, if it does, then you could just play on it, but it looks tight. Yeah, there's the little flick. Has it opened it up?
I think so.
He's got another angle to play into it again, but when he plays this shot, he needs to land on it as well, assuming he has to play into it. Almost needs to catch the red full ball, nudge it over, but not make it, or not, you know, push it right onto the cushion or awkward. So a very difficult shot.
I think if he was the other side of straight on this one to the top left, he may have taken the red pretty comfortably. This looks like a slightly better angle to go at it.
Well, I can only assume that he didn't like the angle at all. He maybe had too much. So this red must go to play the shot he's just played.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I was assuming it didn't, but this isn't great. Yeah, he's sort of getting himself in a little bit of trouble.
It's that yellow bounced off the top rail and just got in his way. Well, that shake of the head probably tells you that it has. Just bounced off the top rail, and I think it's covered the potting angle to the top centre as you look from the overhead there by a fraction. Just going to try and bend it. Not much room for this.
Double. Not the start he was looking for. Opens the table up for Jon, although that helps. Cue ball not falling in there. If it does fall in, it's end of frame, because Jon is not missing with cue ball in hand. He's still massive favourite for the frame. Always look back at those sort of finishes, you know, from players. You know, Rikki will feel like that's a finish he should have got. So where did it go wrong? Probably the positional side of the key shot when he opened up the top right-hand corner. Probably needed to pull back further or leave himself the perfect angle to top left. He just left himself in between, and from there couldn't find the roots.
That's a really clever shot, that from Jon. Percentage shot, but even with his execution, just like what he's played there. He's made one of Rikki's balls much more difficult, whilst also not affecting his own, or at least you'll hope so. Yeah, he's absolutely fine. Cue ball in hand means he can get on this absolutely perfectly. Rikki just had a misjudgment there on the attempted out of the snooker.
Well, if it didn't go in the corner, it does go in the centre, so no issues here for Jon. A lot of players probably play the plant with cue ball in hand there and then come down, but Jon identifying that landing perfect on that ball was the key for him. We'd expect him to go up and look at the plant pretty soon, though.
He might have enough angle to go and do that now. Brings yellow to the bottom right.
I think the original plan was left centre to get up to where he is now, but he landed too straight, so found another way. careful coming down the table that yellow doesn't block yellow. Straight in on the one nearest his arm would be perfect. There you go, a little trace on it just to land absolutely plumb perfect on a choice. Left hand side for me works better, but it doesn't really matter either way.
Nice work from Jon McAllister. If you're in tonight as well, there's been a big student competition held this weekend at Players Lounge here in Newcastle-under-Lyme, which is where we are. And you know this from growing up around Q Sports and all the rest of it, Si. It's a few years ago now, admittedly. There are some fresh faces
Slightly
out
worried
there.
about where you're going.
No, but I just think you can see by the way that these, well, I'm going to call them youngsters now just to make me sound old, but you know, the guys have been practicing on the arena table today, and they've pretty much had an audience all the way through the afternoon. Seeing the real best of the best up close, it really is such an eye-opener at that sort of impressionable situation, isn't it?
Well, I think so, as long as you kind of appreciate what you're watching. It doesn't always happen as Rikki comes up dry. Ball's one of those unique sports where so many players are capable of making a break clearance, but the best players in the world just do it time and time and time again. They keep the game simple and just take out finishes on repeat. Sometimes you have to kind of really study it to understand why they're doing that and how they're doing it. Certainly with Jon, you've got one of the best to kind of watch and learn from.
Yeah, the best players are all great curists, but none of the best players aren't great at the puzzle, if you like. You can be a great curist and something really bad at pool.
That's very, very true. Yellow on the right hand side, what does he do? Could actually play into it here, but very risky because he'd only leave a plant. Play on it now, maybe. Plays into it. Yeah, and it's not worked. I mean, the plant's not a particularly tricky one. He might even just be able to get through to the one nearest the pocket. He was hoping the yellow that he played into was going to bump over the right centre. Certainly kept some jeopardy in the finish. That yellow is awkward now. Is he worried he's got too much angle? See, if you drop this one in the right hand side in dead weight and you come too far across the table, you leave a thin angle on the yellow to left centre and you're going away from the last yellow and into traffic with the reds. So is he considering going for the one by the 8 ball and coming back out? Oh, played the cannon as well. That's brilliant.
It's pretty good, that, from Jon McAllister.
It was harder to play on it than it was to play the cannon in that situation because, you know, to try and it was quite a thin cut. So worked out his options and played what he felt was best and played it beautifully.
Yeah, it's just about judging your line and your pace.
could see originally he wanted to swing it round 3 cushions, but he just felt that red on the bottom cushion was playing too big. So just accepted the pace control into the left centre and played it perfectly.
Yeah, it's another lovely visit from Jon McAllister, 2 frames in front.
Talking about Jon and his, not quite having the success yet on the Monday night, certainly on an individual standpoint, and part of the reason I think he ends up in an awful lot of 6-red shootouts as well is his rhythm around the table is fairly, it stays pretty consistent throughout, but it's on the slower end for the top players now. And I'm not saying there are times in that finish where he needed to take his time and work it out, but that's Jon's rhythm, and we're halfway through the match here and he's had the lion's share of the table time. In the hands of some of the other top players, there might be an extra 2-3 minutes left on the clock, and you don't want it when you're Jon. You don't want to shorten matches up because you want as much of the match to play as possible.
It's a bit more like the Jon McAllister break that we're used to seeing. Squares up that front ball, and this is, at least at first glance, a pretty good leave.
Interesting decision. Does the red go bottom right? If so, a red's the best option, although the first ball might be tricky unless he can see the one top right. If he goes yellows, there's one awkward yellow. But it's not that awkward, it's just there's not a great connector to it. And that's the one nearest the top right-hand corner pocket. Looks like reds might be the option here, assuming this red does pass bottom right.
With red to the top left, pretty straight in.
Doesn't have a great ball to get on the red nearest the cue ball now. Reds are tricky.
Yeah, I think you could absolutely make a case for yellows.
I think
where you quite enjoy the debate over what would you have taken. I think it was a pretty 50-50 split.
it was. I think if you've got a yellow near right centre, then yellows would be the play all day.
Yeah.
You've got to get rid of the yellow nearest the top left first, and then you can play on the one he's just nudged. But from where he was and the way they were laid out, I can absolutely agree with reds, but the one on the cushion remains not a major problem. Might even become his last ball, potentially. But he does have to play some good cue balls to get there. Slightly awkward. I think the plan was bottom right, bottom left, top left, so going round and, to leaving the one top right potentially as your last ball, but that's not a great last ball now. Sort of gone to the top cushion. And he's too straight on the ones at bottom right.
Yeah, definitely a reroute coming here, just with how that red's finished.
Bottom right's a good last ball.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Stays up. Well, something I would say is he did fair fizz that up the top.
Yeah, a little bit surprised. I thought he would float that in, and maybe he just felt he could get in a little bit of trouble by floating it in. But I thought if you float it in, leave the bottom left, there's a line there just to sort of play back into the middle of the table, and the red bottom right becomes your last ball. Maybe the one bottom right's a little bit tighter than we're giving it credit for, therefore he wanted to get close and right behind it.
Yeah, good from a neutral perspective at least to see those staying up.
Too straight. Rikki wanted angle. Wanted angle on the one top right to get across for the one top left. But
combination coming then for...
Yeah, I think you've got to go that way.
Needs to make both, otherwise it's probably match over with 5 minutes and change remaining. He absolutely needs both balls to fall here.
Looks like he's just off straight the wrong way, so we'll have to accept distance, you feel, on his next ball. Not really a problem with it being pretty much over the pocket. Just put everything into the combination. Yeah, very nicely played. And as long as he's not dead straight, he's fine. I think he could have done with coming back an extra turn or two. I think he's got just enough angle. Yeah, in fact, it's perfect. Oh, he's just underhit it. Potted it on the straight side. He pots that centre pocket, he's an extra 2 rolls up the table. Still would have underhit it, but it would have been better.
Looking at the yellow off the red, this all of a sudden is a quite terror finish. Needs to play it that way just to get some control of the cue ball. It's too thin to cut.
I actually think the cut is still on.
I think it's still on, but I think the cue ball's flying.
I think you've got to take whatever shot you feel most likely to make this. Great shot.
That'll do.
Yeah, very, very good.
A lovely finish from notorious Rikki Jones. He is on the board, his first frame as an Ultimate Pool Pro. Puff of the cheeks because he made life difficult for himself. But he'll feel a lot better with that 8 ball falling in. It's so easy, isn't it, to get bogged down in a night, and all of a sudden it's getting harder and harder and harder to find that first frame. The more chances you miss, the less likely you are to take the next one. That was a big frame in the night for Rikki, I feel.
Yeah, the next one now becomes massive. Jon will be inside kicking himself because he knows that was a really good chance for 3-0. Jon's at the level where he would have expected to get that. It wasn't an absolute guarantee. It looked easier than it was, but I'm still surprised he didn't get there.
He throws everything in that break. Has a ball and has a very presentable looking chance. Eyes wide open.
Another debatable one where it looks really, really, really good. Reds you're drawn to. There's a red in the middle of the table. Comfortably go, yeah, it certainly does. Passes the yellow easily to bottom right. First shot, getting control of the cue ball is the hardest shot on the table. Not perfect yet, but he's not bad. He's got a couple of options.
Yeah, he's in you'll take it territory, isn't he? Into the 15-second shot clock now. Oh, he's cut it. Just falls in.
Oh, that's not a good flick.
This is less you'll take it territory.
Does the top red of the 2 pass the other? Do both reds go independently to bottom left? It makes a big difference on the finish. He's got too far across the table, so he's already straight in bottom right. He's absolutely fine, but here, cue ball is tough.
Much time to figure it out either. Holds on the yellow. Does he make the pot though? No.
On the first shot, never got good position and nearly missed the second shot, and it was all about just getting into line, and then from there it could be really simple, and he just couldn't quite get there.
He has made yellows a little smelly in the process though. It's not often you miss a ball 2 from home and you come away from the table not having made the table better, but this needs some work for Jon here.
Jon will take it though.
Oh, I
mean, he's at the table, but he would have expected those to go. You always expect your opponent, especially from your chair, that would have looked like a really good chance. So all the questions are about the yellow next to the red. That's short. Could just play the combination here, or the loss of turn. If he holds the white where the red is, he leaves nothing on. Play the one that's almost straight in bottom right, just hold the white. Did not. Oh, watch the yellow. Oh, he's a little bit fortunate. The reason he risked the yellow coming away from the pocket there is because he didn't want to make both. But he's actually made his job a little bit harder on yellows next visit. But he won't care because the clock management's in play here as well.
Yeah, and he's leading, crucially. 8 ball is going to stay up.
Oh, we're in a really interesting time zone here. What's that, just over a minute left?
Well, Rikki's asked the question.
He
Jon
has.
will have to get out here.
Rikki's going to be happy with how those have come out. That loss of turn from Jon was a slightly loose shot that could come back to bite him here.
And the reason why it was loose, the 2 yellows on the left, if they went independently of each other now, you wouldn't say the shot that Jon played was loose, but it made his life harder if he came back to the table. He knows it. It's not often you get any sort of displays of emotion at the table from Jon. A little grin there tells us that he knows he's in trouble. Nearly plays a worldie of a shot to get out of it.
Got the double.
He's got something to play.
Yeah, but it's all eggs in one basket here if you go double, but I don't think you've got any safety.
Just keeping an eye on the clock behind him. He has to make this.
Oh, what a shot that is. What a shot that is.
Doesn't he just?
We talked about him at the top of the show, how he handles pressure. Well, the pressure of the whole first match is on that shot there.
Doubles for show, doubles for dough for Jon McAllister. That right there was the difference between winning this match and drawing it.
Didn't even have to worry about clock management at the back end there. He could have made that a buzzer beater if he wanted to, didn't matter. He has the next break and he's 2 in front, so it's all done and dusted, all on that double. That shot that Jon played to try and go, what was it, 3/4 rails to play the breakout with breaks of side. That was special. It's so close to being breathtaking shot, but just missed. I know, it's just Jon McAllister all over that shot making.
McAllister breaks off. He very nearly got an 8-ball to sign off in style with a 4-1 win. He's not going to make a 10-second clearance. Rikki Jones wants to get up and concede, and he will now be able to do so. Jon McAllister wins the opening match. He's off and running in the Champions League, but a good performance from Rikki Jones will give him hope. That match all swung on one moment, and it was McAllister who won through in the end. Phil Parkin and Eddie Barker await us next as the arena comes to life.